monopoly market, perfect competition, and one more concept is there. There is a monopolistic market or monopolistic competition. Today we'll complete that. Today is the day 6. We have successfully completed block 1. Today we are going to cover our today we are going to cover our block 2. Okay, just 1 minute. I hope my voice is clear and loud to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Monopolistic competition, as the name suggests, it carries the characteristics of both perfect competition. It carries the characteristics of both perfect competition and monopoly. It is the combination of a perfect competition and a monopoly market, and it possesses the characteristics of both monopoly market as well as perfect competition. What are the characteristics of perfect competition? What are the characteristics of perfect competition? In perfect competition, you will find large number of buyers and large number of sellers. In monopoly market, there is a single seller with the absence of any, there is no close substitute. Okay. Monopolistic competition is a market structure where many sellers offer similar but not identical product. In monopoly market, you will find a single seller selling, dominating whole market by his product. But here you will find a similar but not identical product. In perfect competition, you will find there is an identical product, there is a homogeneous product, and there is a large number of buyers and large number of sellers. And the large number of sellers are selling homogeneous product in the market. Okay, each firm has a degree of market power due to the product differentiation. Each firm has a degree of market power. Each firm has a degree of market power due to product differentiation. Product differentiation is one of the key characteristics of monopolistic competition. They are selling different product. They are selling similar but but not identical product. Okay, you will find there is just like your example, toothpaste, clothes, shoes. Okay, there are different they are selling similar product, but there are different brands. Okay, there are number of toothpaste company that are selling their product, but what is the usefulness? What is the all the toothpaste possess the same utility. Okay, but in case of perfect competition, you'll find homogeneous product. All the firms are selling same product, identical product. Here, in monopolistic competition, you'll find similar product but not identical. Okay, they are not homogeneous, they are heterogeneous. Okay, but all the process fulfill our demand. Okay, large number of sellers here, large number of sellers and buyers. Many firms operate for the same group of customer. Many firms operate for the same group of customer. Each firm has a small share of the market. Each firm has a small share of the market. In the monopoly, there are large share of the market because there is an absence of close substitute. But here, there is each firm has a small share of the market because there is huge competition in the market. Product differentiation. Products are similar but not identical. First and foremost things, products are similar but not identical. Toothpaste hela, clothes hela, shoes hela. There are different companies that they're selling different varieties of the product. Okay, differentiation may be the real features. And what are the differentiation we'll find? That may be the features, quality, imagine, branding, and packaging. Packaging re different ହେଇପାରେ, branding re different ହେଇପାରେ, quality re may vary କରିପାରେ, and features. Different brands of the toothpaste, clothes, and shoes. Okay, these are the these products describes the characteristics of a monopolistic competition. In perfect competition does not exist in the real world. Okay, and you will find monopoly market in especially 2 or 3 sectors. But in case of a monopolistic competition, you will find everywhere there is a monopolistic competition. Okay, freedom of entry and exit. Firms can freely enter and exit the industry in the long run. Those who are starting their business, if they are finding their business is not as per their requirement, as per their wish, they can live they can live and they can enter in a new market. Independent decision making. Each firm decide the price output independently. In the perfect competition, market determine price. In the monopoly market, seller determine price, supplier determine price. And here each firm decide the price output independently. Some price control. Firms have some control over price due to brand loyalty and product uniqueness. Due to there is some loyalty as well as the uniqueness of their product, they have certain price control of their goods and services. Non-price competition. Non-price competition is also there. There is advertising. Advertising is there. Their sales promotion is there. Packaging, customer service rather than price. You will find they are hiring social media influencer. They are hiring celebrities to promote their products. That is known as the selling cost. Okay, or you can say the non-price competition. Price competition. What is price competition? Price competition is something that when you are reducing the price in order to increase the demand for your goods and services. We have already discussed in the law of demand. When the prices of goods and services are decreases, quantity demanded increases. That is a price war. But here there is a non-price competition. What is that? Non-price competition. Firms compete with each other through advertising, through packaging, by giving more customer service. Okay, these are the non-price competition. Is that clear to everyone? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then how price determination took place in the monopolistic competition? In monopolistic competition, since product is differentiated between the firms, they are selling similar product but not identical product. They have certain price determination power because of their uniqueness of their product. Each firm does not have a perfectly elastic demand for its product. Each firm does not have a perfectly elastic demand since their product possesses certain uniqueness. Okay, in such a market, all firms determine price by their own product. Therefore, it faces the downward sloping demand curve. Since all the firms are determining the price of their own product, that's why there is a downward sloping demand curve. Overall, we can say that elasticity demand increases. Elasticity demand increases, a differentiation between product decreases. The elastic demand increase karibo jetale product ro price ta decrease karibo. Okay, the differentiation between the products differentiation between the product decreases. जो product भीतर जो difference रही है सेटा यदि कमी जाए ताने हम कौन elasticity demand टा increase करिवो. Since they possess the unique characteristics, unique features, they have they do not possess the perfectly elastic demand of their product. That's why the demand curve is downward sloping. Okay, here look at this figure. Here price and cost cost are shown in the vertical axis, y-axis, and output is shown in the x-axis. Okay, or you can say the horizontal axis. Okay, the figure shown the supernormal profit of the firm. Here you'll find the supernormal profit of the firm. How firms are getting supernormal profit. Okay, in this figure, SSC, short-term average cost. Here we are analyzing the short run. Okay, short run equilibrium, how price determination took place in the short run and how firm is getting supernormal profit. In this figure, SSC is below the AR. SSC is below the AR. Here, average cost is here. This is average cost. It is below the average revenue. Okay, below the AR, that means the cost is less than the revenue. Here, cost is less and revenue is more. Cost is less. AR is greater than SC. Okay, the cost is equal to the cost is equal to the OQ. Cost is equal to the OQ BR. This is the cost. OQ BR. This is the cost, and the revenue is equal to how much revenue is there. Here the revenue axis. This is revenue axis AR, which touches at the point A, and the how much revenue they're generated through the market. OQPA. OQPA. Okay, this is the revenue amount. And how much cost is there? OQRB, or you can say the BOQR. This look at this figure. BOQR. BOQR is the cost, and how much revenue generated in the product in the market? OQR, OQAP, OQAP, or you can say that OQBR. You can say the OQBR is your cost, and OQPA is your revenue. That's why how much profit is there. Therefore, the supernormal profit enjoyed by the firm is equal to PABR. PABR is the supernormal profit. And SMC. This is the SMC. This is the equilibrium pointing. I should know when how we'll find the equilibrium when MC, marginal cost, equal to MR, marginal cost equal to MR at the point E. At the point E, we shows the equilibrium point A. Since SSC curve is since average cost curve is less than the average revenue curve, that's why there is a supernormal profit in the market. And how much supernormal profit is there? PABR. PABR is the supernormal profit. Is it clear to everyone? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then comes the condition for equilibrium of individual firm. What are the conditions need to follow? The condition for the price output determination and equilibrium of individual firm are MC equal to MR. MC should be MR. What is MC? MC, the marginal cost. Marginal cost should be marginal cost should equal to the marginal revenue. And MC curve got the MR curve from below. MC curve got the MR curve from below. Here, MC curve got the MR curve from below at the point E, which shows the equilibrium point. Okay. In figure 1, we can see that MC curve got the MR curve at point E. At the point A, equilibrium price is OP and equilibrium quantity is OQ. Here, equilibrium price is kete? OP and equilibrium quantity is OQ. Since the per unit of cost is PQ, we have per unit supernormal profit AB or PC, or the total supernormal profit is AB or CP. Okay. Okay. This is eta ethi asuchi hala. এই যে ডায়াগ্রামটা দেইছন্তি আমি এটি জন্য ইকুইলিব্রিয়াম প্রাইস এটা এইটি দেখিবা. Okay, look at this figure. The loss, how firms are getting losses in the short term. Okay, equilibrium price is OP, OQ, MC. Okay, price is OP. Just 1 minute. We need to modify something. এপর্যন্ত যা পড়িছন্তি বুঝি পারছন্তি? Yes, look at this figure. এটা বুঝি পারলে সমস্ত supernormal profit, how firms are getting supernormal profit in the short term in the monopolistic market. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Then comes to the next slide. This how firms are getting loss in the how firms are bearing the loss in the short run. Okay, look at this figure here. The cost and revenue is shown in the y-axis and output in the x-axis. Okay, Here, marginal cost curve intersect the marginal revenue curve at point E, that is the equilibrium. Okay, we can see that at the point for unit of cost higher than the price of the farm. Therefore, AQ equal to AQ greater than OP. Okay, here the cost curve is the SSC, which touches at the point A, and revenue. How much revenue is there? Revenue curve touches at the point B, which shows that average cost is greater than the average revenue. Average cost is greater than average revenue. Here AQ is greater than OP. AQ, how much? AQ is greater than OP. Is greater than OP, or against the PQ or BQ. AQ is greater than BQ. Average cost is greater than the average revenue, which leads to the loss. Loss per unit kete hochi? How much loss per unit? AB. AQ minus BQ. AQ minus BQ equal to AB. AB amount of losses is there per unit. The total loss, how much total loss is there? SCPB. SCPB is the total loss of the farm. Is it clear to everyone? Hello? How farms are getting along? Okay. Diagram korucho to pen re?
Yes,
Pen
sir.
and paper
Yes, sir.
diagram banauthbo. Tadara ki kon tamar understanding clear asibo. Okay.
Yes, sir.
तापर आस नॉर्मल प्रॉफिट हमें सुपर नॉर्मल प्रॉफिट देखिले लॉस देखिले तापर नॉर्मल प्रॉफिट ओके as normal property here marginal cost curve intersect the MR curve at point E. This is the equilibrium point. Here average revenue curve, both average revenue and average cost curve touches at the point R, which leads to equilibrium price OP and equilibrium output to OM. Here average revenue and average cost is equal. Okay, the above figure indicates that the same equilibrium point of a price and output. Price setiki achi, output setiki achi, there is no difference. But in case of a farm, just cover the short on average unit cost as represented by tangency of AR curve and short on average curve SSC curve at point R. Here both the average revenue equal to average cost at the point R. So that when average revenue equal to average cost, that means that farm is earning normal profit. There is no more losses and there is no more supernormal profit. Farm is just enjoying the normal profit from his business. Is it clear? Then comes to the long run equilibrium. Buji parle to? Is it easy? Okay. Diagram सबको करिवे जति एग्जाम रे आसुची डायग्राम मोनोपोलिस्टिक मार्केट आसला कि मोनोपोली आसला डायग्राम सब करिवे करके जेमति देची कुआडे जिबा दरकार नै पूरा डिटेल्स सब मो नोट्स दे दीची आपण एकु ही पढंतु आपण पाखरे टाइम नाही हला आपण बुक आडु सड बही पढिबे कंफ्यूज हेबे ये माने लिखि परिबे आपण रिसोर्स को कम करंतु आ बारंबार रिवीजन करंतु हेले कोन आउटपुट अधिक मिलबो ओके तापर आसंतु लॉन्ग रन इक्विलिब्रियम आमे शॉर्ट रन इक्विलिब्रियम पढिले लॉन्ग रन इक्विलिब्रियम देखिबा लॉन्ग रन इक्विलिब्रियम मींस हाउ प्राइस डिटरमिनेशन took place how firms are getting profit in the long run. If firms in a monopolistic competition earn supernormal profit in the short run, then the new firms will have an incentive to enter the industry. Since the monopolistic competition possesses the characteristics of a large number of buyers and the sellers, since the monopolistic competition earns supernormal profit in the short run re monopolistic competition is enjoying supernormal profit. That's why the new firm will find motivation to enter that particular industries. As these new firms enter, the profit per farm decreases. When the more number of farms enter to that market, then the profit per farm decreases as total demand gets shared between the large number of farms. When more number of farms enter to the business, the per unit farm, the profit of a per unit farm decreases. The total demand gets shared between the large number of farms. The total demand gets shared between the large number of farms. This continues until all farms earn normal profit. This process will continue until all farm earns normal profit. The supernormal profit will be shared among all the farms, those new farm as well as the old farms. Therefore, in the long run, in such market, you earn only normal profit. There is no more. There is no supernormal profit and no losses. In the long run, all the farms earn only normal profit. Okay. Look at this diagram. As you see here, output is shown on the x-axis and the price is shown in the y-axis. Okay. Average revenue AR curve touches the average total cost curve at point X. Average revenue AR curve. This is AR curve. This is also demand curve. Okay. AR curve is also known as the demand curve, which touches average total cost curve at point X. Okay. This corresponds to the total quantity. This corresponds to quantity Q1 and price P1. It corresponds to quantity Q1 and price P1. It corresponds to quantity Q1 and price P1. How much quantity is there? Q1. And how much price is there? P1. Okay. Now at equilibrium, look at the equilibrium. What is the condition for equilibrium? MC equal to MR. Okay. MC equal to MR. Here MC curve intersects the MR curve at point E. All E. Supernormal profit 0 since the average revenue equal to average cost. Why supernormal profit is 0? Average revenue AR equal to average total cost. Since AR curve touches average cost curve at X. Since average revenue equal to average cost, there is no here. Okay. Since average SC equal to average cost curve equal to average revenue, there is no more supernormal profit. All firms earn 0 supernormal profit or earn only normal profit. Okay. Buja purchi. Why firms are not getting supernormal profit? Since average cost equal to average revenue. Diagram समस्त practice करिवो हला. Diagram practice कले exam रे करि परिवो. एग्जाम एबे क्वेश्चन लेखंतु प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन आपण डाउनलोड कर देबे वेबसाइट रो डाउनलोड करके आपण प्रैक्टिस करंतु. ओके मो भी सेल्फ असेसमेंट क्वेश्चन सब दोउची एटी सब अछि आपण जेके को सब प्रैक्टिस करिवे. ठीक अछि. Then comes to the next slide. It is important to that in the long run farm is an equilibrium position having excess capacity. You know excess capacity. It is important to note that a farm is in equilibrium. A farm is in equilibrium position having excess capacity. Excess capacity, what is that excess capacity? Excess capacity is something which is, suppose you have certain potential. Suppose a farm is able to produce 10 quintals of 10 quintals of certain goods and services, but he is producing only 3 quintals. Potential अछि 10 क्विंटल प्रोडक्शन करिया पय किंतु से प्रोडक्शन कुछ 3 क्विंटल प्रोडक्शन करछि. That is 7 quintal तापाके excess capacity अछि. In simple word, it produce in lower quantity than its full capacity. It producing in simple, what is excess capacity? It producing lower quantity than its full capacity. Okay. In figure 3, we can see that the farm can increase output from Q1 to Q2 and reduce average cost. It देखंतु farm can increase from Q1 to Q2. Farm can increase from Q1 to Q2 and reduce the average cost. When farms are able to reduce the quantity, quantity body chipo, our cost of production is also decreases. However, it does not do so because it reduces the average revenue more than the average cost. It does not do so. It does not apply that. It does not use that method because it reduces the average revenue more than the average cost. It reduces the average revenue. Average revenue taku komi jibo. That's why they are not producing 10 quintals. They are not producing at full capacity. They are only producing less amount of production. Okay. Hence, we can conclude that monopolistic competition and do not operate optimally. Monopolistic competition do not operate optimally. They always exist. There always exist an excess capacity of production with each farm. He is able to produce OQ2 output, but he is producing only OQ1. Please mute karantu. Mute karantu. Please mute. Amulya Chandra Patra, apna mute karantu. Okay. Is that clear to everyone? There is excess capacity in the monopolistic competition. Here the farm is able to produce OQ2 output, but he is producing OQ1 output. Okay. That's why there is an excess capacity. Q1, Q2 is the excess capacity that goes to the monopolistic competition. This is one of the peculiar characteristics of a monopolistic competition. The first one is the product differentiation. Second one is the, what is that? Second one is the excess capacity. Okay. Here we have some self-assessment question that you can practice. Okay. Is it clear to everyone? Can you move to next slide or next block? Your block 2 is over. Right now we can move to block 3. In block 3, we'll understand the theory of a distribution, introduction to the theory of distribution, like we will understand the rent, interest, concept of wage and profit. Under the concept of rent, we will understand Ricardian theory of rent, modern theory of rent, and under the concept of wage, we will understand certain theories which is associated with the wage and profit. Okay, let's get started. We are block 3. Then first we will understand what is distribution. As you know, there in the production activities, what is production? Production means the creation of utility. We have created utility. That's it. After creating the utility, what is the next step? You need to distribute that goods and services to the different factors of production. As you know, the land gets what is the remuneration of the laborers? Labor gets wage, capital gets interest, and land gets rent. And what is left? Profit that goes to the entrepreneur. During the distribution process, that all the factors of production gets their remuneration. Okay. And then what is the definition of distribution? It refers to the economic activity which studies how income generated. It refers to the economic activities, how income generated from the production process and distributed among the factors of production. Are you getting my points? It refers to the economic activity. What is economic activity? Economic activity is something that which you will get certain returns. If there is no returns, if there is no benefit, then that is not an economic activity. That is a non-economic activities, which shows that how income generated during the production process, income generated because the entrepreneur will hire more factors of production, higher factors of production, and all the factors of production will get the remuneration. Okay. From the production process, it distributed among the factors of production. After production process is over, all the factors of production, as per their deals, they get remuneration. Distribution refers to the way the total output, income, wealth is distributed among the individual or group of factors of production. Here, what are the factors of production? The total benefits, total profit, whatever the amount is generated, that distributed between the laborers, land, capital, and entrepreneurs. Here's the one of the definition that is given by Professor Nicholson. Okay, it refers to the sharing of wealth of nation among the different classes. Here, What is the classes? The classes may be your labor classes, classes may be the rent, capital, or the entrepreneurs. Okay, there are the wealth are distributed among the different classes. Okay, what is this? The definition of wealth of a nation. Wealth of Nation books was written by Professor Adam Smith in the year 1776. You should mention this definition in your answer sheet so that you will get your answer will be unique in comparison to other students. While writing answer, you should always always write the definition that is given by different economists from time to time. Then what is the class? Then comes to the rent. Okay. First, we'll understand the economic definition of economic rent. Then we'll move to the scarcity definition of rent. According to Jacob Usser, economic rent is the payment for the use of the scarce natural resources. As you know, our wants are unlimited, but resources are limited. When wants one is satisfied, another comes in its place. Similarly, all the resources are limited. It may be the natural resources, it may be the man-made resources that are limited. Okay. It is the rent, it is the payment made for the use of a scarce natural resources. Then land padiba. What is we are using the lands of others. We are using the properties of the others, and we are making payment. What is that? The rent. Economic rent is the portion of the landlord's income which is attributed to its ownership of land. Economic rent is the portion of a landlord's income. That income is goes to the landlord account, okay, which is attributable to his ownership of the land. Why this is attributed to the owner of the land? Because he possesses the ownership of that particular land, and we are using his or her land. Okay. According to Hibdon, rent is the difference between the actual payment to the factor and its a supply price or to the transfer earning. You will understand what is transfer earning, okay, in the next slide or in the next class. Okay. Then comes to the economic rent or gross rent, and what are the factors which are factors that associated with the gross rent. Gross rent is the rent which paid for the service of land and capital invested on it. In earlier days, rent is applied to the only land, but right now rent is applied to the capital also. Okay, that's why there is a term called gross rent. Gross rent is the rent which paid for the service of the land. Here we are using the service of the land. That's why we are making payment as rent. And capital invested on it. Capital the invested in it. So the certain goods and service, certain tools, techniques are invested on that land, or that we are using the property of other. That's why we are making payment. The gross rent consists of economic rent and interest on capital invested for the improvement of the land. So what is the reward for the capital? Capital always get interest. Reward for risks taken by landlord investing his capital. Gross rent is also consist of the reward. Here the reward of the risks taken. Here who is taking the risks? Risks is taken by the landlord. Landlord has already taken the risks. That's why we are using that. That's why you are using his or property. That's why we are making payment to him or her as per the deals. Then comes to the scarcity rent. The scarcity rent refers to the price paid for the use of the homogeneous land when supply is limited. You know, scarcity rent is the price paid for the use of homogeneous land. As you know, lands are homogeneous in nature. When the supply is we will understand what is the homogeneous land and what is heterogeneous land. Okay, the land may be homogeneous, the fertility may be vary from time to time, from the land to land, from the soil to soil. Okay. Scarcity rent refers to the price paid for the use of homogeneous land when its supply is limited in relation to demand. When scarcity rent, why the rent is occur? Why scarcity is occur? When demand exceeds supply. When demand exceeds supply, there is a scarcity. If all lands is homogeneous, but demand for land is exceeds its supply. If all land is homogeneous, if all lands are homogeneous, but demand for land exceeds supply, demand is greater than the supply, the entire land will earn economic rent by virtue of scarcity. Why the land is getting economic rent? By virtue of scarcity, because demand is more in comparison to supply. Here demand is more in comparison to supply. That's why there is a scarcity rent. Then comes the differential rent. Differential rent arises due to the difference in the fertility of the land. Why the differential rent arises? Because there is a different fertility of the land. All lands do not possess the same fertility. The fertility may vary from the land to land, from the soil to soil. In every country, there exists a variety of land. In every country, there exists a variety of land. Some part of our countries, so if you'll take example of in our Odisha, in the coastal part, we have a very good land. Our fertility of our land is comparatively better in comparison to the interior part of our state. Specifically, we'll go to the Kalahandi or Nuapada. There is the fertility of land is very low in comparison to the lands of fertility of the coastal district fertility. Maybe the Jagatsinghpur, Baleswar, the fertility of the land is very high in comparison to the interior part of our state. Some lands are more fertile and some are less fertile. That's why there is a differential rent. When farmers are compelled to cultivate less fertile land, the owners of the more fertile lands get relatively more production. Those farmers who are cultivating in a highly fertile lands, obviously they will get more production in comparison to those farmers, those who are engaging in less fertile land. Are you getting my points? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you finding the difference between the scarcity rent and for differential rent? Here the rent occurs, here we are making payment of as rent because there is a scarcity of the land. And here we are making payment because of the fertility varies from land to land. That's why we are making payment as the differential rent. Try to understand the concept of these two types of rent. One more type of rent is the contract rent. It refers to that which is agreed upon between the landowner and the user of the land. Here is the contract signed by the landowner and the user of the land. So landowner who possesses the ownership of that land, and user of the land, those who are using that particular land, on the basis of some contract which may be verbal or written. Your contract may be verbal means within open communication. A written maybe the contract may be signed through the pen and paper, and contract rate may be more or less than the economic renting. Contract rate may be more or less than the economic renting. Okay, as per their contract signed by between the user of the land as well as the owner of the land, that will be carried forward. It may be more or less to the economic rent. Then comes to the Ricardian theory of rent. The Ricardian theory of rent was propounded by David Ricardo. He is an English classical economist. He is contemporary to Professor Adam Smith. Okay, Adam Smith, Malthus. Okay, first developed the theory in the year 1817. Adam Smith developed his wealth of nation theory in 1776, and he developed his Ricardian theory of rent, his theory of rent in the year 1817. You should remember the chronology. Okay. To explain the origin and the nature of the economic renting. Basically, he explained the origin and the nature of economic renting. According to him, you should remember this definition that is given by David Ricardo. Rent is the portion of produce of air which paid to the landlord for the use of original and indestructible power of the soil. What is indestructible power of the soil? What is that? Indestructible means something that cannot be destroyed, that cannot be destroyed, that cannot be damaged. Okay, is the power of the soil, is the portion of produce of the earth, is the portion of produce of earth which pay to the landlord. Why we are making payment to the landlord? Because landlord possesses the ownership for the use of original and indestructible power of the soil. We are using the original and indestructible power of the soil that cannot be destroyed or that cannot be damaged during the cultivation process. In his theory, rent is nothing but a producer surplus. According to him, rent is nothing but the producer surplus or differential gain, and that found in land only. According to him, only land gets rent. He is not talking about the capital, how capital is also getting rent. His Ricardian theory of rent is only restricted to the land. Okay, he has not taken anything. He has not given anything. He has not taken anything about the capital. Okay. You will find that how capital also get rent in modern theory of rent. Okay. Mondela, rent. What is rent? Rent is the portion of produce of earth which paid to the landlord for the use of original indestructible power of the soil. What are the assumption of this theory? What are the conditions? Rent of land arises due to difference in fertility. First assumption of this theory: rent of land arises due to the difference in the fertility. Difference in the fertility. What is fertility? Fertility means the production capacity. Capacity of a particular land. Or rent of land arises to difference in fertility or situation of different plot of land. It arises owing to the original and indestructible power of the soil. It arises owing to the original and indestructible power of the soil. Required to assume that operation of law of diminishing marginal return in case of cultivation of land. Law of diminishing marginal. Law of diminishing marginal returns. What is that? ଆମେ ପଢିଛନ୍ତି, ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ପଢୁଥିଲେ ବ୍ଲକ ପଢୁଥିଲେ ସେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଡିସ୍କସନ କରିଛନ୍ତି. Anybody କିଏ ମନେ ପକେଇବ? What is that? ଆମେ ପଢିନାହାନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟର୍ସ, ଗୋଟେ ଭ୍ୟାରିଏବଲ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟର୍ସ, ଗୋଟେ ଫିକ୍ସଡ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟର ନେଇକି ଆମେ ଯୋଉ ଡିସ୍କସନ କରୁଥିଲେ, ମନେ ପକାଅ. It states that if one factors of production, it states that law of diminishing marginal return states that if one factors of production means labor as the variable factor increase while other factor land, capital are held constant. Here, if one factors of production like labor increase while the other factors of production like land or capital held constant, additional marginal output produced by each additional unit of the input will eventually decrease. Mandela, it states that if one factors of production, here factors of production means the labor increase while other factors of production like other fixed factors of production like capitals and land is remain constant, the marginal output or additional output produced by each additional input will remain will eventually decrease. Mandela ना आउथर बुझेबी. Hello. Okay. The law of diminishing marginal return states that if one factors of production here labor is increased while other factors of production like labor like land and capital is remain constant, the additional output produced by each additional unity of the input will eventually decrease. Okay, the additional output produced by additional unity of factors of production, additional unity of the input your input means the जो labor आमे add करचंती सेमाने जो add करिया पर total output जति production होची ता कोन it will eventually decrease. Okay, तापर आसो Ricardo looks at the supply of land from the standpoint of the society as a whole. Ricardo looks the supply of land from the standpoint of the society as a whole. Here the society as a whole, he has taken the land from the society point of view. Okay, in the Ricardian theory it is assumed that that land being gift of the nature, it is a fixed factor, it is a gift of the nature, has no supply price and no cost of production. There is no supply price, there is no cost of production, it is the gift of the nature. So rent is not a part of the cost, and rent is not a part of cost, and being so it does not and cannot enter into the cost or price. Rent, according to David Ricardo, rent does not enter to the cost and price since it is the gift of the nature. This means that from society point of view, the entire returns from the land is a surplus earning. According to the society, entire earning from the land is the surplus earning, because it does not because here farms is not making any effort. It is the since farm possesses the this is the gift of the nature, since the land is the gift of the nature, and there is a uh, there is no more cost associated with this property of the there is no more cost, and there is no the cost of production is zero, and the supply price of this land is zero, since this is the gift of the nature. And whatever the amount to that farm owner is getting, what are the amount of is the property owner is getting is the surplus earning. Okay, is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
then comes reason for existence of rent. Why rent is arises? Scarcity of land as a factor and difference in the fertility of the soil. I'm already discussed on Kari. Rent arises because of these two reasons. First one is the scarcity of the land. Second one is the difference in the fertility of the soil. The fertility of the soil varies from the land to land, and the scarcity of the land. Okay, as resources are limited. Resources are limited, but our wants are unlimited. Since there is a scarcity of land and is the difference in the fertility of the land, the fertility of land varies from the region to region. That's why there is a existence of rent. Okay. Buझिପାରିଲେ? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ricardo explained his theory by taking the example of a colonization. What is colonization? Anyone? What is colonization? What is colonization? Wow. Colonization is a process. It is a process of before our independence. India is also a colony of Britishers. Okay. It is a process where some people go and settle down in a place. First, they will cultivate the best land. It is a process. Colonization is the process where some people go and settle down in a place. If you remember, before our independence, Britishers come to our countries and settle down in a particular place, and then they moved. Then they moved to the different part of our countries. First, they settle. First, they started settle their business establishment. First, they entered to our countries through the Calicut. That the place is located in our Kerala. In our Kerala state, they started entered to our countries through the Kerala, Calicut. Okay. Who discovered India? India को क्या discover करते ले? Who is the first person who is the first Britisher comes to India and discovered India in the year 1918 1498 मसीह भास्को ड गामा ओके से फास्ट आस्थिले इंडिया को डिस्कवर करथिले ओके हम हिस्ट्री अडक पळेलेनी ओके Ricardo explained his theory by taking the example of colonization. Colonization is a process where some people go and settle down in a place. If some people go and settle down in a place, first they will cultivate the best land. First they cultivate the best land. If more people go and settle down, since some people go and settle down that place and they are getting profit, it motivates the others to go and settle down that place. If more people go and settle down, the demand for land will increase. In the initial phase, the demand will increase. In the initial demand will increase, they will cultivate the second grade land. Since the first grade of land is already used by certain group of people, then the demand for second grade land is increases. The cost of production will go up. Definitely, the first grade of land required less cost of production. In the second grade of land, they require more cost of production. So the price of grain in the market, price of grain in the market must cover the cost of cultivation. The cost of cultivation is always covered by the price of grain. The price of grain means the price of goods and services will increase. The grain means the agriculture. Since we are talking about the agricultural commodity price to increase. In this case, the first grade of land will get rent. Since the demand for first grade of land is increases, and there is a less there is a scarcity of the first grade land. That's why scarcity leads to the rent in the economy. After some time, if there is an increase in population, after some time there is the first grade of land is used by certain group of people, and second grade of land is also used by certain group of people. And when there is no rent for the second grade of land, and the first grade of there is a demand for there is a huge demand for the first grade of land, which arises the rent. After some time, if there is an increase in population, population रे लोकों को संख्या सेठी बढ़ी गला. Since there is a colonization hela परठु कोन लोकों को number of peoples are increases, and it leads to the demand for third grade land. After some time, if there is increase in population, even third grade of lands will be cultivated. Third grade of land cultivate hela. Now even the second grade lands will be get rented. In the initial phase, only the first grade of land is rented. Right now, people are also demanding second grade of land, and there is no demand for land of the third grade of land. Now even the second grade of land will get rent, and the first grade land will get more rented. When the second grades of land are rented, the first grade of land will demand more rent. Okay, it is rent land. A third grade land will not get any rent. It is also known as the no rent land. Third grade land is also known as the no rent land. बुझा पड़ला थ्री grade of land. How population leads to how population arises rent in the economy. How fertility arises rent in the economy. How scarcity arises rent in the economy. बुझी पड़ले. इतिश्री साजिया सुधांशु अपन समस्त बुझी पड़ले. बर्नाली.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then comes to the diagram. Here, look at this diagram. Here the x-axis shows the grades of the land, and vertical axis y-axis shows the output. Okay, first grade of land. This is the first grade of land. This is the second grade of land. This is the third grade of land. Third grade of land is known as the no rent land or the marginal land. Okay, in the first grade of land, how much by cultivating the first grade of land, how much output is there? 200 output is there. By cultivating first grade of land, we are able to generate 200 units of output. By cultivating the second grade of land, we are able to generate 100 units of output. Okay. By cultivating third grade of land, we are getting only 50 units of output. Okay. Since both the first grade of land and the second grade of land, are more fertile in comparison to third grade of land, that's why the first grade of land and second grade of land are known as the rent land. Okay, and the third grade of land is known as the no rent land. Why? Because the first grade and the second grade of land are more fertile in comparison to third one. Is it clear? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then comes to the criticism. All economics theories are incomplete without criticism. Okay, you should write criticism. Okay, according to Ricardo, land has the original indestructible power, but the fertility of the land may decline after some time because of the continuous cultivation. Here we don't have Ricardo does not talk about the decline of the fertility. He talks about he make a gradation of the land: first grade land, second grade land, third grade land. He does not talk about the fertility. As you know, the fertility of the land decreases after cultivation of a certain period of time. The land has the original indestructible power, but the fertility of the land may decline after some time because of the cultivation. Fertility decline after some time because of the cultivation, because of the continuous cultivation. Okay, Ricardo believed that rent is peculiar to land alone. According to Ricardo, rent is only applies to the land alone. But many modern economists argue that rent aspect can be seen in other factors. Rent aspect can be seen in other factors like labor, capital. According to modern economists, capital also get rent. Labor also get rent. We'll understand how capital and how labor also gets rent in modern theory of economics, modern theory of rent, the next class. Rent arises whenever the supply factor is inelastic in relation to demand for eating. Rent arises when the demand exceeds supply. Here, the first grade as well as the second grade land areas. The demand for first grade land and second grade land demand is more in comparison to third grade of land. That's why the first grade land and second grade of land are considered as the rented grade of land. Okay. Ricardian theory does not talk about the scarcity of rent. Okay, it is based on the perfect competition only under some part of the theory. Ricardo also talks about the scarcity theory of rent. Okay. Just 1 minute. There is an exam at the DDC campus. That's why there is a bell is ringing. He talks about only the demands for the land, but he completely does not focus on the scarcity of the land. Okay, it is based on the perfect competition. Since we are applies this law is applies to the land alone, that's why there is a perfect competition in the competition. That's why leads to the rent. Okay, there will be price for good, but in the real world we have an imperfect competition. Perfect competition is rare, but imperfect competition is everywhere. Okay. So we'll continue in the next class. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Interesting ଲାଗୁଛି ଯାହା ପଢିଲେ ଆଜି ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ ସବୁ?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.